Hi, happy Earth Day. This is our final segment of our 5-part series of 600 years. And I just want to say what an honor it's been serving fields of peace and in so doing Earth herself with my words and my images. Thank you. So let's look at the 4th panel of the altar to Gaia. It takes us 300 years into the future, where I've turned the earth upside down, metaphorically, where human values have changed completely. So let's look closer. In this 4th panel, I included a mirror kind of directed down. You can see my head turning back and forth in the center of the eye, the 3rd eye of Gaia, as it were. So as we step back on the 4th panel, we see there are 2 quarter spheres, one that says her and one that says him. And since I've become more woke through younger friends, they said there needs to be a connection between the 2. So I'm going to put the word they strung between those 2. This is a work in progress. Now, focusing more on the center sphere there, you see I've painted the earth upside down from the traditional way that we see it in the southern hemispheres. In the north now, when love reigns, it says, there will be no poverty, hunger, money, religion, class, fear, greed, or hate. When love reigns, there will be abundance of peace, kindness, caring, creation, celebration, joy, dance, poetry, music. Yes. In this central sphere, I included a quote from Walt Whitman from his Leaves of Grass, from the poem called Song of Myself. He says, I give you my hand, I give you my love, more precious than money, I give you myself. Will you give me yourself? Will you come travel with me? Shall we stick together as long as we live? For this last part, I've invited artist friends of mine to offer their expression, what they'd like to say about healing the earth and what needs repairing. And I'm hoping you'll take this to heart, to your heart, and let it be an inspiration for your expression. Namaste.
Hi, my name is Anja Albosta, and I am as worried as Bill is about climate, and I've been painting about this in politics for many years now. This piece was something that I did in 2020. It's a Tree of Life, and I was reading Humans Best and Worst from Robert Sapolsky, and it's titled Humans Best and Worst. And we have some wonderful traits, and we have many people who help us, which is what this side is. David Beasley, who works for the World Health and Food Organization, somebody like Melinda Gates, who actually steps up and speaks out for women's rights and their reproductive rights, even though she is raised Catholic and doesn't always necessarily have the upbringing that would agree with such things. She realizes that that helps humans, and we need to help humans. We need to help each other instead of hurt each other. But as I painted, I became more and more disconcerted, and I had this left side of the painting, which is monsters of our time. And one person, like Putin, manages to destroy millions of lives. It's a tremendous tragedy. And at some point, I just decided I couldn't even paint such things anymore, and I put this painting away because I needed to move on and paint something that was beautiful. And I picked to paint an image out of the social lives of forests. And again, I paint in water-soluble oils. There's collage, things I've read in here. And I wanted to express the hope of humanity and that we're all stardust. and that we can live together and that we can help each other. And I guess I feel perhaps too passionately about many of these things, but the paintings evolve as of their own accord. I start with a color and move forward with some notion, idea. It's a very organic process. And I had my latest painting, which is also from my series Beauty, and is just based also on the idea that we're all stardust, that we can help each other, create things that are better for humans, live in a world where we make a better place for the next generation to live instead of a worse place, and to keep that in mind. And I don't have children, but I have family with children, a sister with children, and I wouldn't want anybody to have a life that's harder. Life's hard enough. So art as the triumph of light over darkness, something I can care about, enjoy, and forget about the difficulties of life, even in the process of painting things that are sometimes challenging to live with. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Rand Bishop, and I'm honored and proud to have been asked to contribute a piece to this very worthy project by my friend Bill Kucha. And I also want to send out my love and appreciation for Charles Busch, the founder of Fields of Peace and Peace Village. I actually served on the board of directors of Peace Village for several years and have participated in peace education of children in the Peace Village camps as a music director and also teaching classes. I think it's such important work, and certainly some of the most fulfilling work that I've done in my life. My primary background has been in music, as a songwriter, as a music producer, a performer, musician. But I've also written 5 books, and as a matter of fact, Charles Busch was kind enough and generous enough to write the foreword to my most recent book, which actually pertains to the piece that I'm going to share with you. A little background. In 2017, I was really upset. Seeing our country becoming so mean. It seems like haters were given permission to shout their hatred from the rooftops. I was truly heartbroken. So I thought I needed to do something. I needed to take action of some kind. And I decided to go out and meet people, to walk 900 miles from Southern California home to the Oregon coast. And I was on my 7th day of what I call my peace pilgrimage. And I was in Santa Barbara, California. And I went into a bike shop to buy a map. And I encountered this young gentleman who strode over to me and said, "Where are you riding to?" And when I informed him that I was not traveling on 2 wheels, but by 2 feet instead, he became very interested. And I started to talk about what my mission was about, which was basically saying that I really feel like there's common ground to be found with any 2 people. If you really sit down and talk respectfully, I truly believe that that's where peace has to begin, where we actually see the humanity in the other person. Then I think we can always find something, just a place, a starting place to where we can begin to communicate respectfully, civilly, and constructively. So I was explaining this, and this young gentleman's lady friend was overhearing this, and she came over and she said, I know something that we all have in common. And I said, well, I'm really interested in that. What is it? And she said, everybody has a birthday. Well, on the surface, that's kind of a mundane statement, it's obvious, everybody does have a birthday. But to me, it was profound. It was profound in the sense that before we know anything about ourselves, before we have any prejudice, before we're even aware of our skin color, of the flag that we're supposed to wave, the borders within which we were born, the church or the temple that we're supposed to attend, we all have one thing in common, and that is that we seek our mother's milk. From the moment that we breathe air in this world, in this lifetime, that's where we all begin. That's the common ground that we all share. Everybody has a birthday. And it began to take shape as a song. I'd like to share a little video that I put together. So here it is. Everybody has a birthday. Thank you.
Before you know you're black, before you know you're green, before you know you're white or purple, brown or in between, before you know you're Catholic, a Muslim or a Jew, before you know what flag to wave, you know this much is true. It's the same for me and her and him and you. Everybody has a birthday. Everybody's born weak and dependent on mother's milk, helpless and innocent. Everybody has a birthday. Everybody has a birthday. Before you know you're straight, before you know you're gay, before you start identifying this or that away, before you know how much of you is masculine or femme, long before you pick a party, GOP or Dem, it's the same for us and they and them. Everybody has a birthday. Everybody's born weak and dependent on mother's milk, helpless and innocent. Everybody has a birthday. Hey, 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 everybody has a birthday. Hey. We all bleed red, my dears. We all cry salty tears. Everyone's different, yes, but still the same, I guess. Everybody's first coming out is as a human love child, loud and proud. Everybody has a birthday. Before you know you're black, before you know you're green, before you know you're white or purple, brown or in between, everybody has a birthday. Everybody's born weak and dependent on mother's milk, helpless and innocent. Everybody has a birthday. Hey, hey, everybody has a birthday. Hey, hey, hey.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Jacoby. I'm greatly honored to be included in this gathering of artivists. Inspiration to an artist can come at unexpected moments. Recently, I had the opportunity to use a most wonderful etching press, and I know that printers in the audience know how exciting this is. At the same time, I came across a quote from the ancient Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and my writer-artist brain combined his quote with several intaglios of bees. What is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee. This provocative metaphor has had far wider implications beyond bees for the last 2,000 years. Like the Greeks and Romans, our modern society struggles with community, connection, and mutual interdependence of our own hives. It is well documented that bees and other pollinators are markedly declining in numbers. Wild bees are an important keystone species upon which other species depend for survival. Pollinators pollinate about 75% of the world's flowering plants and 35% of the world's food crops, including fruits and vegetables. It is not unreasonable to state that we cannot live and eat the amounts of fruits and varieties of vegetables without bees. Graciano da Silva, former director of Food and Agriculture Organizations, says that the absence of bees and pollinators would wipe out apples, almonds, tomatoes, cocoa, and coffee. Yes, coffee. Just a few of the crops which rely on pollinator species. Not only humans, but animals with plant-based diets would be severely affected with the ripple effects of population disruption, starvation, refugees, and wars. We must take purposeful care of our own hive in its many forms: personal shelter, our fields, our orchards, our rivers, our oceans. There are steps the average person can take to help bees. First of all, do not use chemical pesticides, especially those containing neonicotinoids. Always opt for a bee-friendly natural alternative if you must use something. Encourage bee and pollinator education and demand legislation for sustainable beekeeping. Like the tiny bees, we are social creatures dependent upon each other. We all need healthy hives to thrive. I thank you.
With more than a year to experience Bill's 600 years painting, I'm glad for an opportunity to just say in a few words of ways in which it's taken for me. I think of poet William Stafford's few words. He said, "So the world happens twice. Once what we see it as. Second, it legends itself deep the way it is." That's how I think of Bill's expression in this painting. He has taken the raw matter of our history and our culture, and he's put down the deep part, the legending, so that we can really experience it and feel it. For me, looking at the painting, seeing some of the words and seeing some of the colors, what happens in me is a kind of reminding. That's how I think of it. It reminds me of my original self, that original blessing of innocence, of empowerment, and being part of a creation and also part of a creator. So I'm reminded that so much love has been given to me as a flow to make a difference. I'm reminded of my own innocence, which is untouched by disappointment and by pain, and that innocence is a very important quality for the work that we have to do. So Bill's painting is a profound reminder for me of my own goodness and the goodness that is shared with others and with all of creation, and the kind of responsibility I have to it. There's a Buddhist benediction, I think of it as a benediction, which tells us, cultivate infinite gratitude to all things past, infinite compassion to all things present, and infinite responsibility to all things future. And looking at this past, I'm feeling the responsibility that I have to all things future. On the subject of peace, I'll say one last word. I brought a little poem that I read this morning from our former U.S. Poet Laureate and Native American writer, Joy Harjo. And she has these few words. And I think she's really talking about the massacre at Wounded Knee in 1890, and where the U.S. Army killed 300 or more Lakota Sioux, and maybe the majority of those women and children. And she says this: the day went on as it always had, though we had fought the government troops in that crook of the river that had given us so much pleasure. The sun kept moving, as did the clouds. The birds were, however, silent. They could not comprehend the violence of humans. Well, Bill's painting takes me and reminds me that we must not comprehend the killing of humans and of other creatures and of creation. It brings me back to that responsibility of peace, and I'm grateful.
So as a fellow artist, I wanted to extend my hand to you and invite you to make the art that's in your heart for our earth, whether it be song or dance, guitar, music, painting, whatever it is. Express yourself, express your love for the earth. That would be wonderful.